Hello everyone, and welcome to another XTC match. This is round 4, I believe. Today we are bringing you a very exciting match between Kaspars Bulindzs from Lithuania and Paul Warrington from Team Scotland. We've just had Rorino. I've got no chance at that one. Thank you for the follow. It is much appreciated. So this, I checked with the guys beforehand. The teams are currently at 1-0 Scotland's way. So the guys have already begun their setup. I should mention before I forget that I have in the commentary box here with me today, Jim.
Hey, how you going? Excited to be here?
Me? I'm very good. So this is going to be a very interesting match. We have the fairly well-known by now, I think, Resistance 5, a bit of a beef squad with some names in it as well. I think that's one of the things I do like about the squad is that it's not just all generics. It's actually got a few ship abilities sprinkled in there. And then on Kaspars' side, we have some Jedi. A squad I probably haven't seen before, and I'm not sure is what you would deem it currently a meta squad. So we will run through them. Jim, do you want to take us on Kaspars' squad?
Yeah, so Kaspars is running Galactic Republic, as you said. So we've got Ahsoka Tano running Chopper droid, the C110P, with calibrated laser targeting. We've got 2 Jedi Knights with Delta 7B, and a Red Squadron bomber with dorsal turrets, proton torpedoes, R3 astromech, allowing that double target lock, and a hull upgrade.
So suffice to say, the strategy here is Ahsoka Tano. Obviously, with the CLT, she's not doing as much damage as the Jedi Knights, but I'm assuming the goal here is to get double-modded proton torpedoes off from the Red Squadron bomber using Ahsoka's ability, and a hull upgrade, presumably to stop it just getting completely deleted in first engagement.
Yeah, and Ahsoka can knife fight that little bit as well with her ability to get her that action after a rev maneuver. And then also you've got the chopper droid as well to give you that red evade even while stressed. Twice.
And importantly here, so it is, I don't have it on the screen there, but it is, Kaspars is at 200 points and Paul is at 198. So Paul has obviously given Kaspars initiative. You can see his threes, his entire squad, I think, no, his threes. Right, the Red Squadron bomber is a 2, sorry. His 3 is going down now, so Kaspars does have initiative, which means that his ships will be moving first. And I will now run through Paul Warrington's squad. He has Rose Tico, Finn with Heroic, Jess Parva just with her S-foils, Red Squadron Expert with Heroic and his S-foils, or her S-foils, and Lieutenant Bastion with just his S-foils. So a pretty lean version, favouring the named pilot of Jess and Lieutenant Bastion over, say, C-3PO on Rose is a bit of a flavour I've seen. You take 3 Red Squadron experts and then bring C-3PO. It's a pretty standard squad. It's doing really well at the moment. It's just enough hull, enough shield, and enough firepower to really take down a lot of what is currently swimming about in the meta at the moment. My only complaint with it as a player is I find it a fairly routine squad. You sort of just run the block forward. Not a huge amount of decision making needs to be made. You've just got to point the ships and shoot. But we did have a very similar squad to this, if not maybe the same squad, on stream a couple of weeks ago against one of our own in the Australian XTC, Tom Harper, and he flew that game was very, very interesting. I think that was against Spain, if I'm remembering correctly. So
yeah, it should have been Spain.
Yeah, so go back and watch that, because that genuinely was a very interesting approach. I think the Spanish player determined pretty quickly that he did not want to joust, which is normally what you would do with this resistance squad, against what Tom was running, which was that Rebel Beef, Hera, Focus, Benthic little squad. So he sort of flew it very differently and very interestingly. So if you want to see a different way that squad can be played to success, check it out on our YouTube channel or on the... Actually, I think it might have gone from the video on demand now, but you can check it out on our YouTube channel, Sydney City Space Slugs. Shameless promotion there. So in terms of rock setup, Jim, what do you think? It's an interesting setup. He's kept... I'm assuming that's... Oh, sorry, I've got to do the ship colours. You talk through the rock placement while I do the ship colours.
Yeah, so the rocks actually look quite in favour of Paul here. My approach and kind of look at this, I would normally slow play on my side of the field if I had a squad that was running in this kind of block formation. But it does look like Kaspars set up to also play in that open field and possibly move past these asteroids as fast as possible, which would deny his ship's actions. Those Jedi can play very well around those gas clouds as well, still being able to use their ship ability after going them. And yeah, as we can see right now, Kaspars has chosen to move up towards the top of the field, looking to play in that top right corner or through that middle lane by the looks of it.
Yep, still just doing the colours here. I want to make sure we can all keep up with the game. Then we've got the two Red Squadron experts. Oh, sorry, the Red Squadron expert is a blue. Almost done. And Lieutenant Bastian is pink.
So we're seeing Paul move out now with some 3 forwards from Lieutenant Bastian and Finn here. Possibly looking to play through the centre lane and come through the middle. It might be a bit awkward for him depending where ships end up round 2, and we are seeing some fast moves there from that Jedi Knight 5 straight with a boost.
Yeah, definitely the differing plans here will be Kaspars does not want to joust. He needs to use the maneuverability and flexibility of these Jedis to get into the side without copying every shot. Because if one of these Jedis, even with the Delta 7B, if they take shots from every single one of this resistance block, it's probably going to get pretty hurt. So Kaspars really needs to not allow Paul's sort of firing power to be directed all into one ship. So I think that's put the onus on Kaspars to really try and split up the firing block here. And I'm not sure that the chosen obstacles are necessarily going to help with that. I think another interesting point is that both sides have the possibility of jam, which has basically meant that every ship has taken a target lock on an obstacle first turn, which is, I think, a sort of funny side effect of jam, and it's a bit silly. One of those things that I think just doesn't really match with the thematics of the game. But we just take it on the chin. We just accept that it has to be done because you sort of don't want to get jammed and lose your precious tokens. So we've got some lots of locks out there you might see, and they are all on obstacles only at the moment. So Kaspars has opted to head towards the top of the board and try and circle around. Do you think his plan is to try and get that Y-wing to just come down the center of the board? I mean, it's probably not maneuverable enough to get into the side, so perhaps the goal might be to just straight joust with the Y-wing, get at least a proton torpedo off, and take out maybe one of the little they call pods.
Yeah, I think the intention might be to do that. And one thing that hopefully Paul does remember is that that Y-wing on the turnaround would still have a second lock after spending the first one on the first engagement, and Ahsoka would still allow that double modded token to pass through. So that Red Squadron bomber is actually a pretty big threat on the first and second round of shots there. Paul hopefully noticing that might be able to really sink in on that bomber early. But again, it's probably not best for that bomber to just joust this squad straight up. As you mentioned earlier, it's quite beefy, but also it packs a really strong punch in that first early engagement. Kaspars probably regretting a joust with that Y-wing against this full squadron.
Yeah, I think so as well, but at the same time, Kaspars needs to create a distraction to allow these Jedi to do something, because the field, there's a lot of small obstacles, and the field is fairly open for these resistance to just move in and get a target in all their sights and shoot. So I think there's an opportunity for Kaspars to use the Y-wing and shoot one of the pods. I think is also critical. Just thinking about it, those T-70s have 3 shields, and it feels good to strip them, but you really want to get that crit in as well from the proton torpedoes. And there's a very good chance that with a focus, one of these and heroic, these X-wings probably aren't going to take the crit under the shields. So he probably wants to put it into one of these pods, which could explode on a bad roll from these proton torpedoes. So you can see this is what I'm interested in, to see where this Y-wing ends up going, because the Jedi are going out to the other side of the board and going out wide, trying to force Paul to pick a direction. And I'm just wondering if the Y-wing can actually get in there fast enough to actually be some bait, or if Paul just commits and just goes in after these Jedi, because although they're not necessarily locked in to come down that right-hand side of the board, I think Paul's just happy to just do a 1 forward even, and essentially do a joust in the end anyway.
Yeah, Paul does have to be careful of the range control here. He does have the opportunity to just kind of plonk with a 1 forward, but that might leave him in a worse off situation with, depending where this Y-wing ends up next round as well. I think Paul still might have an opportunity to avoid getting locked by this Y-wing, as Kaspars' Initiative 2 bomber is actually moving before the front of Paul's block here. So he might even slow roll that bomber to maintain that range control. It is interesting though, these Jedi all being Initiative 3, with the bomber being Initiative 2, does mean that if Kaspars maintains a really good target priority, hitting even an X-wing with all the ships before that proton torp goes in, those torps are going to do some damage.
That's a good point actually as well. The Y-wing will be firing last, and I doubt he's going to spend any focus on defense. They've got 1 defense die, so it's most likely going to remain fully modded by the time he actually fires the torpedo. He does shoot before Finn and Bastion, so there is definitely the opportunity for him to get that shot off, without completely exploding, and I think the hull upgrade guarantees that. But firing before 2/5 of Paul's squad is going to secure that as well. So he's definitely getting that proton torpedo off as long as he can get the target lock. And I think one struggle he's going to have is the Y-wing moves first on the board. So getting that range 3 target lock and then keeping the range that you need is going to be difficult, because if he banks into this turn, he probably won't get the... actually, I take it back, because Ahsoka will move it at Initiative 3 and just hand him the target lock action anyway. I take it back.
Oh, great point.
Yeah.
Yep. That's actually really good for him then. I noticed that earlier as well, that he definitely is out of range for that, but it actually doesn't look too bad now. And we do see it. We see the 3 bank there from the bomber.
Yeah, he definitely... Well, given Paul's positioning here, those two obstacles in the middle, he turns away, really not wanting to deal with that proton torpedo this round. Yeah, interesting.
I imagine a 1 straight from the X-wings here, just slow rolling it and maintaining that range control.
Yeah, well, I mean, you really don't want Finn to cop that proton torpedo first up. I mean, his ability will give him a little bit of extra defense, but yeah, he wants to just delay delay that proton torpedo. It seems he might even be swapping out these initiative 2s for the initiative 3s.
Yeah.
To not just get minced by a proton torpedo before getting to actually shoot. I'm interested to see what he does with the Jedi here, though, because if he's committed past that gas cloud, he's pretty much committed to the engagement next round. He's got hard turns and barrel rolls if he wants to try and move back down the centre lane, but I don't think that really helps him too much either, because you're essentially, once again, just a delayed joust.
A nice move from Kaspars here, cutting out, baiting that movement into the corner, and pulling his squad back together. But it does look like we're going to have a joust at this stage, which I don't think works in Kaspars' favour.
Yeah, Kaspars may have... I'm not entirely sure. I mean, essentially, he baited that turn out back to his starting side, back to Paul's starting side. But I'm not really sure what the benefit is if he's going to... Green is now committed down that lane, and yellow is sort of keeping options open. But I really don't think a joust very much favours him unless he can just pop one of the pods in that with the proton torpedo. I would have preferred to have the ships sort of split and coming down two different lanes. But again, I'm not in the XTC. These guys probably know a lot better what their squads can do than I do. I'm sure they've got a plan, and I'm interested to see whose works, I suppose. But every ship, it looks like, is turning away.
So it looks like he's trying to set up a nice little wall here, and possibly block the back X-wings from moving too far in. It is interesting though, because that shuttle doesn't have the best dial to remove that stress. So Finn's actually in a bit of a tough spot.
Yeah, let's get the dial up. So they've got the 1 banks, 1 forward, and 2 forward blue. He's got a white 2 hard, but Finn really does want to have a focus token to use his ability to full effect, especially against the proton torpedo. And it's pretty much guaranteed this coming turn for a proton torpedo to get fired. So, if you're Paul, what do you do now? Do you just hard turn and go for a joust anyway? Do you 1 bank Finn, focus, and just hope to not get blown off the board? I mean, the yellow Jedi still has a sneaky little 1 hard boost around if given the opportunity. But, a 1 bank, even some... The X-Wings pretty much have to... The blue and the pink X-Wing have to hard turn to get in this turn, right? They can't just sort of soft bank in, because then they're giving free shots from the Y-Wing.
Yeah, we'll likely see hard turns out of that blue and pink as well, with that 1 bank coming from Finn. The bad thing for Paul here is Finn will likely be out of the fight, and it does look like Rose will probably be too far back to be able to capitalize on the damage that the X-Wings are doing if they do come in hard. Paul could possibly come in nice and slow here and still bait it out, but he's likely to cop a proton torp here. I expect Kaspars to commit to this fight with the Red Squadron bomber. Even if he just does a 1 forwards, he still has the possibility to range control a bit better with his Jedis in the following turns. 1 bank down from Ahsoka. Those Jedi Knights can easily just 1 hard and reposition again, and maybe even set up a flank for the next fight as well. But they'll be kind of locked in on the other side of that gas cloud.
Sorry, I'm just bringing up on the screen Ahsoka and Chopper, because Chopper, after you execute a maneuver, you may spend 1 charge to perform a red evade action. So he did one of those already, and I should update the overlay here. So we've got 1 Chopper charge spent already. The converse side is basically after you execute a maneuver, you gain a GM token. So it's not quite active yet, and he's a little far back. I'm Wondering now if Ahsoka is going to just dive in this turn, um, get the red evade, and then start using her jam shenanigans next turn and start knife fighting with Chopper, crazy Chopper, erratic Chopper active. But I think Paul's Finn, stressed Finn, is probably a bit of bad news for him. But I think he's in a nice spot to be able to get some good shots in if Kaspars presents any ships this turn, because there's a good chance, depending on what yellow does, that only green, Ahsoka, and the Red Squadron bomber will actually be in the fight this turn. This is a 3 straight, guaranteeing probably a range 3 or a 2. I think he'd prefer probably...
prefer that range 3 shot, so he's at least got that extra evade dice. I think that was a 2 forward there. Definitely playing it safe from Kaspars.
And guaranteeing to get the... Yep, there we go. So that... Ooh... So there's a 2 hard. That's probably going to be range...
It looks very close
3.
to range 2.
You definitely don't want the range 2. And it does allow him... Finn will move first. So all the wings are open. I think the guys are probably just discussing the wing situation. So the cards are flipped, and I think the tokens are actually correct as well, but there is a bit of a glitch when it comes to the tokens. So yeah, they're just figuring stuff out. They are in voice chat, so I'm not exactly sure what they're saying, but they're saying something. So goes for the 1 bank. That'll allow him to at least get a focus on in case the Red Squadron bomber gets that target lock. Oh, time is still at 75 minutes. Thank you. I knew I would forget something. Just let me sort that out. All right, just went by 59 minutes, so we'll just do from 59 minutes. Do 58 minutes. Sorry, guys. Thank you for calling that out.
See the 2 forwards there from Ahsoka. Playing it safe and more than likely setting up that chopper for the next round. We'll see what action he chooses here.
So spends the force to give that lock action. He only has 1. That was a very smart 1 bank there, because that did basically invalidate the R3 astromech on Red Squadron bomber. So that was definitely a good move, I think, there from Paul to keep Finn not in the fight this turn, and also safe from copping a target lock.
Yeah, slowing down the rest of his squadron as well behind that blue T-70 there would have helped as well. So he's really only given Kaspars here 1 target to sink into, and that's probably the best thing that Paul can hope for here.
Yeah, and I mean, Lieutenant Bastion's not the cheapest. He's the 2nd most expensive in the squad, but you'd probably rather lose him in this situation than lose, say, Jess or Finn, just because of that proton torpedo being such a massive problem. Now, what Paul needs to do is get the shots into Red Squadron bomber and try and put it down ASAP. Cripple it enough that you can possibly initiative kill it next turn and stop a 2nd proton torpedo going off. So here we go. You have all the fast 3-turn from the Red Squadron expert and 2 bank from Jess Parva. Really nice positioning here. He's got a really good line, and then here comes Rose. Really well done, honestly. For all 3 ships to be bumped and then to all clear their maneuver the next turn, but still get their arcs facing in the right direction. That's very well done. So start of engagement phase. We have Ahsoka shooting first. She's only got 1 target, which is the Red Squadron expert, which does mean that there won't be fire into the single ship from Kaspars. So we have 1 shield sink in on the Red Squadron expert, cheapest X-wing on the board, so it's not really the end of the world. And it does again mean that probably not going to be every shot going to the same ship. So we have the green Jedi Knight now firing into the Lieutenant Bastion. 2 hits and evaded. Thank you for the follow, Drozasm. Thank you. So 2 hits again. Pretty average so far. They haven't had to spend any mods. And there's the no evades from Bastion. I think you spend that. You really don't want to have any shields down for this impending proton torpedo.
There's still good opportunity here for Kaspars to sink through that crit though now. Losing that 1 shield. Sorry, that's on a different
That's not exactly,
X-Wing.
yeah. So the positioning here from Paul to not allow
really
every ship to fire into the 1 has been very good. So you've got a cheeky little hit crit coming in. Changes to a hit using the Y-Wing's ability, but the Y-Wing still takes 1 shield. So you've got a shield down on both sides, but still two more I3s to shoot from Paul's side. And these are 3 dice guns. I mean, obviously you put everything into that Y-Wing. You need to put that thing down this turn if possible. You probably won't initiative kill it, but if you can really damage it, and especially if you can sort of sink a crit in. Ooh, 2 crits. This could do it. A blank out here. Could do it. No. So that would be the last 2 shields down, and he takes it. He's not going to spend it. He wants this proton torpedo to do its absolute best. So I don't think... Oh, that's the Red Squadron expert. My bad. So it looks like he's just... Oh, it's range 2. Range 2. Just 1. Not really what you wanted to see from that shot, but we have a damage card coming out. So that is 1 damage then into the Red Squadron bomber. So 1 away from half, I believe. Yes. No. 2 away from half. Still, with that hull upgrade. So this is the shot that he's put everything into. Ooh, we get hit, crit, spends the target lock, and converts it. So it should be 2 hits and 2 crits going into Lieutenant Bastion here. Bastion has no mods, but gets the natural evade. See, that's the thing that really sucks about putting this proton torpedo into a T-70. He's going to take 2 shields, and he's not too upset, and you paid, what's essentially 6.5 points for that shot. It does sort of hurt. I mean, he can reload, so it's not like it's forever gone, but I don't think this Y-Wing's going to live too much longer.
Woo. And we see a cheeky shot from Finn here.
Takes a strain, adds a focus, spends it. Spends a force, but still takes a shield on the yellow Jedi Knight.
You know, we both questioned that 1 bank, and Paul very much taking advantage of that arc.
Genuinely
clipping him.
A very fantastic move there. I think the position. I'm not sure if the positioning was on purpose to be stressed in that spot, but a really great move there. So we okay, and doesn't take a crit, which would have switched off the Red Squadron, the Y-Wings ship ability there, taking that crit. So still the anti-crit hull, whatever it's called, from the what are they called? Republic Y-Wing, still active. But if we look at points, it is still 0-0. No one scored any points. We've got some damage in. We've got 2 shield off Bastion, 1 shield off the Rexpert, but we've got shields down on the bomber and 1 hull in. So I think it's a fairly even trade. But this bomber, I mean, is there any chance of you getting another torpedo off? Probably if you bank in towards Finn, or 1 bank in towards Finn, but you've pretty much just got to commit then into blowing Finn off the board. Finn could do a, let's see, his dial. 2 straight, we did look at it before. 2 straight, but probably wouldn't be able to barrel roll anywhere to get out of the arc or get into range 1. So, I mean, you probably just... And it's not to be forgotten as well that the Red Squadron Bomber does have a dorsal turret as well. So I'd probably suspect a 1-bank in there from the Y-Wing.
Yeah, I agree, but I also think that Paul's in a great position to PS kill this bomber. Initiative kill before it even can threaten Finn. So he might just keep Finn in the fight. He's got the 2 Initiative 3 X-Wings, Red Squadron, and Jess Parva, and even Rose Tico coming in a way that is going to really punish that bomber this next turn if he just does that 1-bank.
Very true, yeah. I mean, if he can go maybe a little bit faster and try and get a bump from the blue X-Wing, then he probably lives long enough to fire off that last torpedo. But I don't think he's... Yeah, I think he'll most likely get a shot, but it may not get this proton torpedo off depending on how eager he is to get it off. What do you do here with... So I think Paul has a pretty easy decision to make, right? You just 1 forward and you shoot what's there, because he's now got this firing line set up. Finn probably just happily 1-banks in. Probably going to take that proton torpedo anyway, but as long as you take a focus, because you don't want to keep that strain, as long as you take a focus, you'll probably be able to not explode to the proton torpedo. So I think Paul's got a pretty easy time here. But what does Kaspars do? I mean, he's got the ship... Essentially, we have ended up in a joust, a delayed joust. Can Kaspars capitalise now on Paul's easy 1 forwards?
Well, it's probably not the best maneuver, but in my mind, I would probably push that Y-wing in and use it to block up that squadron where possible here, knowing that Y-wing still has a 4K and the possibility to be double modded after that 4K with target locks taken this round. I'd probably consider doing a fast maneuver to block it up, possibly even a 3-bank to get in the middle, or even just 3 forwards. But that's me. I often don't make the best calls when it comes to this.
Someone in the chat said, why no Team Lithuania logo? I actually didn't have it in the pack. I tried to find it. There's a streamer pack and has all the logos in there, and I didn't have the Lithuania logo, and I didn't realise until it was too late. But if you have it, and you can send it to me somehow, I would happily update that right now. That is okay. I wanted to use it, I just couldn't find it. And maybe I'm blind. I'm not sure. But I do apologise, because I know that the logos are all very cool. But I do agree with you, Jim. I think get that. Yeah, he has. Yeah, get that Y-wing in there. He'll be able to get target locks and 4K next turn and fire a torpedo off. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I do think the arc rotation is an interesting choice, but I'm guessing that's just to ensure he gets at least a shot this turn. But there's a good chance that he will actually catch both the blue and the green. So that's Jess and the Rexpert in that 1 forward.
And it looks like he's evaded Finn's arc there, so he might be taking a bit of fire on these Jedi here, depending where he thought Paul would go. We do see that Jedi Knight come in a bit fast here. Still does have the opportunity to boost in and face Finn head on, but I think that's probably not a good call here. Those Jedi Knights are Initiative 3, which means that they can... No.
So he opts for the lock with both ships to just really punch into... who is that again? That's the pink one. That is Bastion. So Bastion is the most hurt X-Wing. From our angle, it doesn't quite look like he has arc. Pretty sure he might not actually have arc. No, he's got arc. He's got a trust that the players know what they're doing.
So there's the target lock from Ahsoka's ability going on the bomber. Bomber spreading those 2 locks. Let's see where he picks.
So the idea here, if I'm Kaspars and I'm not, I actually think a reload there would have been pretty spicy. I'm not sure if it's red on the Red Squadron bomber. Let's have a quick look. It is red. Okay, so I definitely wouldn't have done that then. But if it was white, that would have been amazing. To reload, have both K turn next turn, and then you've got two choices. But he does end up choosing Bastion and Rose to target lock with.
Yeah, I think he's looking to sink as much damage into this pink X-Wing as he can, even though his Jedis are probably in the best opportunity to try and take it down this turn. He is just setting up in case he doesn't get it off the field. Interesting though, do you think that green Jedi would have fit a boost in, a right bank boost?
I think so. I think I know the X-Wing's a juicy target, but I think you get rid of Finn there, that would have been perfect. So
he's looking to PS kill Bastion instead of Finn here. Not a terrible choice. Oh. 3 hits. We're seeing the lock.
You spend the force here.
Yeah, 100% sink it in.
Green is not hurt, but is taking at least 2 shots. 3 shots, actually. Maybe you don't spend it. Probably leave that one. You would probably spend it on yellow, but I wouldn't spend it on green. I just don't think it's worth it. You're taking too many shots.
I'm greedy. I'd take it. That's just personal preference.
Doesn't spend it, and is able to get 2 damage in. If he spends the focus, that is. Bastion he's going to do it. Yeah. And you've got to remember as well, Bastion's ability is very good. He can really punch out damage if you just ignore him for too long. Getting those free target locks whenever a ship gains a damage card.
Oh, we're seeing the lock. This could actually... could take him down.
Alright guys, I'm sorry. I'm just making sure I get the Lithuania.
And that's it. Bastion's going to take hit, crit here.
And he's PS killed.
He's PS killed.
Or initiative killed, as we would say now.
Yeah. That's actually pivotal for Kaspars here. He is still going to be taking some big shots into that Jedi Knight number 2, green, more than likely. But Kaspars is in a great position.
Much better position, yeah. I think that he's probably very happy now to be sitting in this position.
Something that I hope Paul hasn't forgotten as well is Ahsoka now, without those charges on Chopper, is in a ripe spot to lay a pivotal jam token down this next turn, as well as the Red Squadron bomber probably 4Ks and fires a torpedo off at Rose.
Yeah, it's going to be a very painful moment, I think, for Rose. And I'm just getting this. I want to make sure I get the correct logo instead of the Lithuanian flag. See if this will work for me.
It is interesting though. I kind of love watching X-Wing and commenting it on in posts like this as well, especially after we've expressed our thoughts on actions that may have been the best taken. This bomber, for example, great call earlier. A reload would have actually been pretty good. He's still going to get an opportunity to shoot into Finn soon. And
It
we see
was
3.
red though. That was the only thing. Is that it was red.
Yeah, he
So-
did take that lock on red to hopefully.
So I'm saying that reload is red.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
so you would have been able to know.
Yeah.
So I'll have to get an update on the damage here in a second. All right. Okay, Lithuanian logo is live. Lithuanians around the world rejoice. Okay, so I'll get a damage update here. So we've got a dead Bastion, 1 shield down on Jess. Sorry, on the Rexpert. The other guys are fine. We have Ahsoka, unfortunately now running shields down. Oh, sorry, she is a shield down and Chopper is empty. And that was a crit into Ahsoka, a direct hit. She's on 1 health left. That is not looking great. Do we get any extra damage on the red? No, still only 1 damage. Okay, up to date. Up to date.
So we'll see that bomber go into Rose here.
He spends the luck. He's only got the luck he does not have a focus because he rotated his arc, which I don't think was... I think it was just a mitigation. Just hedging his bet. Rerolls it into nothing. So Rose has just 1 damage she's got to avoid here. She's got 2 rerolls on both of these dice, so she's fine. Thank you, Wookie Barber, 5 minutes ago for the follow. Appreciate it.
And we're seeing the range 3 shot into Ahsoka here.
She's got
Hoping
no
they-
force. Ooh, and here we go. 3 damage. Takes a strain, adds a focus, spends it, and that's dead Ahsoka. Wow. Two important pieces on both sides of the board taken off, and I actually think that does leave Paul in the lead still. He's removed Chopper before he became a real problem for him, but lost Bastion in the process. Who do you think... I mean, points-wise, Paul's in the lead, but which of the trades do you prefer?
I think Paul's probably in the best place in regards to trades here, and we're going to really see the effects of that trade in this coming round. The X-Wing's likely to flip around with some K-turns or reposition. That bomber's still in a great spot, but won't be double modded anymore, and has actually spent that target lock last round, so won't be firing torpedoes at all.
Well, he
if
should
it does.
actually have a lock on someone else, unless...
He has a lock on the pink X-Wing, which died.
Ah, very good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, interesting choice. Interesting choice to lock. I would have thought you'd probably lock the Rexpert.
He's definitely
Rose.
hoping to secure that kill, just in case. And I
Oh,
think
because he did have
only
the
just
arc.
got enough damage to sink that through. But his bomber is only on 4 hull?
5. He's got a
Yeah.
hull upgrade.
5 hull. So I feel like I look at the field, and those 7Bs can do work. We all know they can do work. They're just so beefy. But you can't go past the damage output of Finn and Rose. They're surprisingly really annoying to deal with. But as you asked, who do I think is in a better position here? I'd actually say that Kaspars is still in a nice spot here. He can turn around. He's still got mods on those Jedi if he does. But they're not going to have an easy fight against these X-Wings still.
I will disagree with you, not just to be contrarian, but I think the X-Wings have a very lovely 4K here. they possibly take shots from these Jedi, but the Jedi move before them. So the Jedi have to just assume that they're doing the 4K. But at the same time, that would give their back, at least one of their backs, to Finn, who really is punched so hard. He just killed Ahsoka with his, two base dice. I think 4Ks and some straight maneuvers from Rose and Finn will really block up the lanes there and allow those X-Wings to come back around and start doing some real damage. And Yellow is hurt as well, and Yellow is the one who would have to turn in to threaten the 4K from the X-Wings, and that would then basically just leave it open for a Finn shot in the back.
Well, they still have the 2 sloops, so he could threaten with a double knot, but there is the possibility of sloops. They have a 2 sloop, right?
They do have 2 sloops, and a 5K, I think. So he doesn't K-turn with the bomber. He's just opting probably to rely on the dorsal turret and just come around the corner. Wants to set up some locks in 2 turns, I suppose, because you're not 4K'ing from that position. You'll go off the board, and you're going to have to do probably too hard to get relevant again. This time logging Finn and the Rexpert, the blue X-Wing. So it's very nice one bank from Finn. That blocks up a couple of the moves from the 2 Jedi there. There's a very nice spot there for Paul, and he just takes a focus. He's happy with that. If the Jedi turn in towards the center of the board, he's going to get a nice shot in. So here's the 4K from Green Jedi and the 2 sloop. Yep.
Yeah, it definitely was too dangerous for Yellow to turn in there. There was the opportunity to turn in and try and block those 4Ks, as you said, which may have actually been.
Ooh, that turn 1 bump actually screwed up. The first engagement bump. Sorry, the turn before engagement. Let me get that right. The turn before engagement bump put both ships off kilter, and it meant that those K turns were a little bit spicier, a little bit closer than they should have been. So that's going to hurt Paul a lot. Jess Parver is now facing in the wrong direction, and she's the ship that actually had mods this turn. G'day, Magic Massage Stavro. G'day, by Sydney. So a nice shot here. He's got the Jedi are in really nice spots here. He's got some good shots into Finn, who is really just a bit of an underdog. He just punches a lot harder than you expect him to. And I think now might be the turn to do it.
Rose here is at range 2 as well. So it's interesting to see. Do have 2 additional range 1 shots into Finn.
So Finn and Rose were both at range 2. Oh, right, because he's also got the bomber as well.
Yep. The bomber might not have that shot on Rose though, which is why he's decided to go into Finn there. But hasn't sunk that shot.
Just not quite getting the dice that he needs in these shots into Finn. So this is Yellow. Yellow is in a rough spot. Yellow is taking 2 shots back, and already has lost a shield. So the decision there is: do we want to keep that force for defense, or do we want to spend it to try and possibly sink a damage? I mean, you won't sink that damage in, because Finn will most likely take a strain to take no damage. Leaves it at 1. Finn rolls, double evade. You'd be happy you didn't spend that force.
Yeah, it's going to definitely come into play here. Rose still has that re-roll from that additional arc. It does look like if Rose has the shot. Oh, it's out on Yellow.
So
but we'll get the re-roll from the blue.
No, it's only friendlies, so she doesn't get any re-rolls.
The blue is pointing towards? No?
So it's friendly ships in the firing arc of the attack.
In the firing arc, sorry.
So it does get a damage in. Nice. So that is half points, which puts Paul leading 78 to 47 at the moment. And still with 1 ship left to shoot. Just gets 1. I'm not sure if I saw who this was into. given the dice roll, I presume it was the Y-Wing. So does have a shot into Rose. At this point, you've invested nothing into shooting
Surely you switch
Finn.
target here, right?
You know that
Finn's still got the focus.
Rose does not have the rerolls. I mean, you've got the rerolls. It's only range 2 as well, unfortunately. Rolled 2 dice, got nothing. His red dice have been a little cold this round, but given his lack of mods out there, that's sort of just what happens when you, if you don't have any mods and you just don't roll good dice. Oh, Magic Massage Stavro, you asking in the chat, this is a Star Wars board game. Yes, this is 2nd edition of the X-Wing miniatures game. I guess 2nd edition doesn't really mean too much to you there. But yes, it's a real life game that we normally play on the tables. And currently, you've actually tuned in to a very exciting game, because this is actually the World Team Championships. This is round 4. It's a round robin style. Well, the first group phase is a round robin style system where teams from all around the world get formed into groups and then play matches. Each team has seven players, and they get paired up against each other, and they play the game. And the winner, the team that wins the most games against the opposing team each round, is declared the winner. So 4 games in a round out of 7 will get you a victory point, getting you towards the finals, the 2nd stage. And thank you for the follow as well. Feels good. Always come in if you ever want to learn how to play the game. Just send us a message, and I'm happy to send you some videos that can teach you how to play. And if you've got Tabletop Simulator, then you'll be able to play super quick. It's really easy to set up and really easy to learn. And then there are a few guys who play down in Melbourne as well. As soon as you guys start opening up a little bit more, you can probably head out to the store and learn to play. So if you're ever interested, just let us know, so I can put you in touch with some of the cool guys down in Melbourne.
So we've got an interesting turn ahead. Paul is in a position to possibly keep only 1 or 2 ships shooting at target here. What do you think Kaspars positioning the following rounds?
I think Kaspars needs to get this Y-Wing relevant again. The Jedi hit hard, and they've got that passive mod. But the main problem is that they're moving before the X-Wings. So that does sort of affect their ability to use their ship ability to reduce the shots coming in and maximize damage. So I think that's a bit of a disadvantage for Kaspars here. And the blocking potential of Finn and that Red Squadron bomber is pretty good. I mean, Finn's bugging out here, fair enough. And I mean, last turn, Kaspars put everything he had into shooting Finn, and Finn didn't take any damage. So Paul's more than fine to keep Finn moving and baiting away. Thank you for the follow, Helida87, and good evening, Masked TMT. Welcome. We have a very exciting match of X-Wing here. XTC round 4, we have Lithuania v Scotland. And it's a very close match at the moment. Both players, each turn seems to swing the game in the other player's direction. And Jim and I seem to constantly be wrong about who we think is going to capitalise on their better positioning. So it's been
it's definitely made this an exciting game, hasn't it? We've both been quite critical of the positioning, and the dice have just swung and swayed our thoughts consistently. It's been a good game.
Yeah, it's been a very good game. Just crazy, the very unfortunate bump with Jess Parva last turn really did cost Paul a lot. That was very unfortunate for him, but it was a consequence of a tactical decision he'd made 2 rounds prior, interestingly enough, due to the bumps that he'd made to delay engagement. So the Jedi are not in a position to shoot pretty much anyone but the ship that they all have locked. So Red Squadron Expert is probably a little bit worried here. Has no escape route. Is just going to have to face the music and shoot something. He takes a focus. I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to get some more damage into the Y-wing, but Kaspars has put a lot of effort into trying to take... Paul has put a lot of effort trying to take down Kaspars' Y-wing, and it's still floating about, and it's really not doing too much just yet. So we have a very good shot there, total opposite of last turn, from the yellow Jedi shooting into the blue Red Squadron Expert. Gets a crit in. That's 2 shields and a crit.
Look at that. Free proton torpedo.
Jim, if you can just let me know what that crit is.
So we've got a loose stabilizer there on blue.
That is very good for Kaspars there, because that is going to stop that X-Wing turning around next turn if he does live. So this is now green. Same target. He's got that target lock. He probably spends it, rerolls both. The focus and the blank result. Nope. Well, he's thinking. It's a decision. You're wrong either way. That's how I always look at it. In this case, he was perfectly right. So that's 2 crits going in regardless of the dice. Yeah, I mean, you've got to spend that. You die otherwise. He doesn't get taken off the board and he will get a return shot. So I think he's wondering here whether or not he keeps that focus to make that shot count, and then keep the focus to make the shot count. But I think the problem you've got there then is you leave the Y-wing to just take a free shot into whoever if you just let the X-wing die here.
Yeah, and there's always that little bit of risk as well when you're dealing out those crit cards. You could die either way here, regardless of whether he spends that focus token or not, which is probably what's going through his mind right now.
So Masked TMT in the chat saying both teams need to win to pressure Germany and Peru. So he takes this damage, takes hit, crit. First crit is...
So we've got a console fire.
Which is
sorry, the direct would have gone through first, I think.
Right, okay.
So he would have been dead anyway.
So in the end, he as long as we don't
actually made the right choice.
As long as he didn't get a weapons failure, he should be fine.
And the last one was a hull breach. So actually holding onto that focus token, he would have been dead anyway. That last crit dealt would have been the direct hit. So now he does have a focus for attack here.
See, yeah, it was the right call, but he didn't know that at the time. So if his captain's watching, you got to make sure you remember that. You make him remember that. But he's really hoping to do something here. He's maybe considering a range 1 into yellow, who does have a shield down. Do you keep shooting into this Y-wing? I mean, the problem right now is that this turn the Y-wing is a feather, but next turn it's a rock. And it's hurling it at someone. With that rock being the proton torpedo. So I think he's debating whether or not he tries to whittle the Red Squadron bomber down to be initiative killed by Jess next turn. And he's also still got, I believe that's Rose shooting into the side of the Y-wing as well. So it's an important call because this is the last shot that this ship gets to make, and he does choose the yellow and gets 2 focus results off the 4 dice. So yellow rolls only 1 evade, and takes a shield. So these Jedi are sitting pretty happy so far. They've not quite taken much damage. Most of the damage going into that Y-wing and killing Ahsoka as well. and 2 damage going in to the 2 more damage going into the Y-wing bomber. I don't know why I keep calling it a Y-wing bomber.
So Kaspars is likely quite happy with this turn's results. If Paul did decide to sink into the bomber there, it would have been dead. It's got 1 hull left. 2.
It does have 2 hull left thanks to its hull upgrade. And
Yeah,
here's
so
its
2 hull
shot
left.
back. It's shooting into... I'm not quite sure. Probably Rose, given that he's about to
Looks
reroll a
Rose.
dice. Does. It's 2 evades. Takes no damage. The defensive power of those pods, and offensive power with the passive mods that both their abilities give them, does make them really tough to take down. And that's why being able to get a really nice proton torpedo into them early is very, very helpful to just mitigating the mid to late game annoyance that they can be. So we do have a very interesting moment here where Paul, unfortunately, let us know before the game that Paul's washing machine for the last 2 days has not been working. And unfortunately, Paul is really starting to stink out his house with all his dirty clothes. So he's booked in an emergency washing machine guy to come out and take a look. So that's what's happening right now. So the timer's just been paused. And I'll use this opportunity to just update our timer to be a little bit more accurate. So the guys do have 20 minutes and 15 seconds left. I'm pressing the wrong buttons. How goes that? So, 20 minutes.
So, looking at this field, I think Kaspar's in a great spot. He's got ample room for these Jedi to turn around and really put pressure on the pods. He's likely losing this bomber next turn as Jess comes around that cloud, but Jess really hasn't had the opportunity to take advantage of her pilot ability.
That 4K really, the 4K bumper really hurt Paul. I'd say we'd be looking at a very different round this round if that hadn't happened, because those Jedi wouldn't have been so confident moving in to take the shots that they did, which killed the blue-red squadron expert, because Jess being there would have definitely crippled them. So that's been a massive swing in the game. That single choice that he'd made 2 turns prior has completely swung the game in the other direction. Just updating you on points, Jim. We are 91 Kaspars way, 91 to 78. So I'm just going to mention as well that Paul will only be gone a couple of minutes while he goes and shows the fella exactly what is wrong with the washing machine, so that he can wash his stinky clothes. So that does give, and the Kaspars was aware that Paul did make us aware that this might happen during the game. So Kaspars probably using this opportunity to have a good long think about what he'll want to do next. What do you think he wants to do next?
Kaspars will likely see some K-turns from the Jedi here, or even sloops to keep him nice and tight to these pods and stay in the fight. I'd say likely K-turns to think about the turn after as well. You'll have room once Jess starts rotating in around that cloud the turn after, if they do the K-turns. You're losing that bomber. I think that's a given. So he'll probably want to place that in the best position to at least attempt to take advantage of any shot he'll get out of it. We'll definitely see a swing in points once that bomber goes down, but it'll be on Kaspars here to hopefully take advantage of that, sink some damage, or at least take off one of these pods. They are very, very cheap. And you do have Jess flying around as, I guess, an ace ahead of these Jedis. What I would like to see from Kaspar is taking advantage of that ship ability, the fine-tuned controls, and really getting those Jedi in to consider blocking Jess in the coming turns as well, and setting up those key shots for each other.
I think that a really good opportunity now, because that you're right, that bomber is dying. The bomber is not going to make it to the end of this round, especially if Paul has anything to say about it. So I think a really good strategy that Kaspars could employ here is get both of these Jedi onto the tail of Finn. Oh, and Paul is back, so we have reactivated the timer. So yeah, sorry, what I was saying, the Jedi, there's a nice one hard in there from the yellow Jedi, and possibly even a one hard. Actually, I think a one hard is guaranteed there from the green, and that would allow them to keep the pressure onto Finn, and just you send the red squadron bomber in there to just make sure Jess shoots at it, and give your Jedi a turn to really get some damage into Finn, because he's taken a few shots and is still sitting at full health. Oh, stream has disconnected. Stream has reconnected. Should be good. Should be good now. Just going to double check that it's back. Yep. There we go. Thank you for your patience, guys. I'm not sure what happened there. Thank you for the follow as well, Lunagas. Lunagas? Lunagas makes way more sense than Lunagas. So I think Paul is maybe still setting some dials here. He's still making some decisions here. I mean, he does sort of have to remind himself of exactly what's happening in the game, and there we go. He's ready to go, following his washing machine man.
Yeah, hopefully that washing machine man isn't giving him advice.
Good point. Good point.
Definitely not. But we do see a 2 hard left from the bomber bumping into the Jedi Knight. So I guess here, hoping to survive the shot from Jess Parva and keep arc on these pods. Depending what Rose has done here, he might even escape a shot from the pods. What do you think? That's okay. We do see the 1 hard there from the yellow and the green. Good call there. He does have range 1 shots on the on Finn, is it? Yeah, on Finn there. We do see that type 2 hard from Rose. Really strong shot into the bomber.
Yeah, so the bomber is definitely going down this turn. And it's a trade for some quality shots into Finn, but you've really got to get these to sink in.
So I question the focus there from Jess Parva. I guess you do want to kind of assure that damage into the bomber, but if you're not taking shots, I feel like it may have been a nicer choice to take a lock into one of these Jedi Knights and set up for the next few turns.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So we've finally got a damage going into Finn here. So Finn rolls 1 evade. He can add a strain, take a strain, to add a focus result and spend his focus, but probably chooses not to. And
yeah, he'll be taking another shot immediately after.
No, he does. He takes it. It's a guaranteed 1 evade, so that'll just be a shield off Finn there.
now also at range 1. 3 versus 1 now because of the strain.
Finn can
Sorry,
still
4.
add a blank, I believe. And there's a very good shot. This is probably dead Finn. He can now he can do his ability to then use Heroic and re-roll these two, so he could live. I have seen it happen. Not quite enough, so he does take the hit crit, which sends Finn to the sin bin. And that's Finn off the board, which is, I think, that was probably the best move Kaspars had here, was turn these Jedi, kill Finn, and now it feels a little bit more even, especially if the bomber goes down. It'll feel a little bit more even for next turn.
Yeah, and he does still have that great positioning to turn around and take his time at positioning back into Jess this next turn.
And even with losing this bomber, actually the bomber is pretty hefty. He's about to give up 25 points, which will still keep him in the lead, so there's still work, and that's the dead bomber, as expected. But the onus is still on Paul to close the game out. These Jedi, one of them is 1 away from half points, the other is still completely untouched. Half points will put Paul in the lead, but he has to do that without giving up half points himself, so the onus is on Paul here to claw this game back.
Yeah, it's definitely not too early to call. Jess Parver is such a powerful piece, especially with another ship still on the board, like Rose Tico. As you mentioned earlier, Rose with C-3PO is such a powerful piece, and being in this position whilst having that in this game would have been awesome to see. But of course, you wouldn't have these same ships and upgrades on the boards.
I mean, you look at it,
if we made that call.
If you look at it, you go, well, Bastion actually didn't do anything other than be an X-Wing. He didn't get to use his ability. And that's pretty much, I think that's the cost that you have paid to have no C-3PO. So 3 points. No, I think actually you have Jess as well. So at the moment, it's done him no favours because the Bastion was initiative killed and Jess hasn't used her ability yet. So at the moment, he's missed out on that C-3PO, which definitely would have been a massive boon for him.
In this game.
Yeah.
Particularly.
And obviously that will change game by game. But if we analyse this game in particular, it would have been better to have C-3PO, but that's something you can't really figure out. And you have to sort of take a call against the meta and against, especially in XTC, against the squads that you think you'll be paired up against. So we do see Kaspars realising, I'm in the lead here, Paul is the one who needs to do the work. I need to get my Jedi out of there, get them to safety. And we got a K turn from Rose, and probably just a 3 hard or 2 hard from Jess, pointing the arcs in the right direction. Takes a lock, probably isn't going to get the shot, and probably won't spend a lock on the shot anyway, but is chasing down that yellow, and I do fear now splitting them up probably seems like a really good idea, because that way you force Paul to choose a ship, point at that ship, and you can use your other ship to get a flank on. But green's pretty far away, and Jess does have a really nice hard turn in there to try and catch yellow, and green will be a little bit far away to jump in and actually take some decent shots.
Yeah, we might see a cheeky maneuver from Kaspar here. I think there is just enough room to fit a 1 hard from that Jedi towards the asteroid. It might be too risky of a play, but he does have the ability to still kind of, let's see, 2-bank. No, 2-bank might not even fit around that asteroid.
I mean, I think I'll just adjust our camera here, so I think the 5 straight works quite well. That will just pretty much just get you probably most likely out of Jess's shots, or at least behind that asteroid. But then you're in the corner, and you're really far away from green at that point. So, yeah, possibly a 3-bank to the left, and just bring your 2 Jedi back together again maybe might be a good call. Again, there's 10 and a half minutes 10 and a half minutes left in the round, or 11. 11 minutes left in the round, I should say. So it's not like there's not going to be another engagement. And I think Kaspars just needs to get his ships into a position where that engagement will be favourable to him. And he's doing the complete opposite of what I said, and is just turning in to shoot. He's not going to play the long game. He's not going to try and go for the win on the points here. He's going to try and get half on someone.
Yeah, so Kaspars may not have realised that he was ahead here. May have just been trying to recuperate and get a bit of room to reposition. It doesn't look like he's realised he was ahead. Turning those Jedis in, he's going to get punished for turning yellow in here.
I think so, yeah.
Cheeky shot with green if yellow had played out. But we'll see what happens.
And Jess should have a reroll for defense, and has the target lock for attack and a focus. So this is a shot that's going into Jess. Yellow has a lock. He's going to probably just keep that focus there. Keep the focus results, sorry. You've got a force and a focus, so you've got options if you spend that lock and reroll just the two. No, he rerolls them all, and still it's a fairly good result. Spends the force. He's got 3 hits now. This won't get him half on Jess. She does blank out. Probably going to check for the ability here. Thanks for the follow, Blend In 101. Oh, I think that was a mistake. I think he's just trying to check if Jess has a Rose at range 1 for her pilot ability. No, just out. So that is shields down on Jess if he chooses not to spend that focus, and I probably wouldn't. Although half of Jess is worth more than half of a Jedi Knight, so it's a tough call because you don't give up half, but you get yourself close. He decides not to, just to take 2 shields on Jess, keeps her 2 above half. Still with the lock there, so it's not like this shot's not going to be. I didn't think about that. Range 3 from the green into Jess.
Yeah, so I was expecting the yellow to push out there so he'd get that cheeky shot from green still. Jess really not being able to turn in on green this next turn as well. But this has worked in Kaspars' favour. We might see some damage come through still.
And it's this Jedi's 1 away from half. So Rose, he's not quite able to get the 2. Just gets 1 and is evaded. But that's not the shot that really matters. It's this Jess shot. I think it was range 2. But there's a good chance if she can get all 3 hits here, then that's half points on yellow, and that puts Paul in the lead again. Oh, spends that
2
lock.
crits. This could be crippling.
Oh, 3 crits.
Oh no. Stunned pilot?
So, shield and 2 crits.
And a weapons failure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. As a goal in the chat mentions that he knows he's winning, but the half on yellow would have happened anyway. I do agree, but I do think going head on into Jess when she's already got the lock and a focus is probably not the best unless you can get 2 good quality shots in with your Jedi. I think there was an opportunity for Kaspars to delay that engagement a little bit longer and get a little bit better quality shots with both of his ships. So we do have a weapons failure and a stunned pilot now on the yellow Jedi. Oh, sorry, I keep adding the wrong crit. So a stunned pilot and a weapons failure. So now, points-wise, and I would say ship health-wise, we are favouring Paul at the moment, but we still have a full health green Jedi, and Jess is 2 away from half. If yellow can survive, and Kaspars can bleed, it doesn't bleed any more points, he can still get this with 6 minutes left in the round. He can still get this by getting half on Jess or half on Rose. Paul is only leading by 5 points at the moment. So, how do you capitalise here now? You're right, Jess can't really risk a turn in on green, facing pretty much straight into that gas cloud, or even possibly landing on it. Rose still fairly healthy, and as long as she can keep Jess relevant and in the fight, she'll be getting a reroll on attack and defense to sneak in maybe a kill even on yellow. How do you capitalize here if you're either player? How do you capitalize if you're Kaspars, who's finished his tiles?
I don't know if I've got the points right in my head, but if he trades the yellow Jedi here for Rose, does that still leave Kaspars ahead? It does look like he's trying to block that 4K from Jesse, though.
If he trades yellow for Rose, that will leave Paul in the lead still by 5 points, because half of yellow is 25 and all of Rose is 25.
Yeah, so I personally probably would have favoured to see a turn in from yellow here, trying to knock Rose out, even though they are all initiative 3. But it does look like Kaspars is
I think he's expecting a 4K from Jess here.
Yeah, expecting the 4K and setting up for it. I think Paul definitely does want to keep Jess in the fight still, so we might see it. Yep.
Yeah, but it doesn't block it. But now, yeah, wow. Really great call there from Kaspars. Does not push in to try and do a block on the slow maneuvers, and instead sets himself up. He's got a shot there with yellow and green into Jess. This could be the big swing that Kaspars is looking for here, because he can put Jess down and Jess has nothing to say about it.
And he still has such a great turn in the next turn as well, to just punch into Rose.
Yeah, and Jess can't. She's not getting a shot this turn, and she is not getting a shot next turn. She's got 2 turns of no response to these dice, if she even lives.
And her pilot ability, again, just out of reach. Quite far out of reach on this turn, actually. But she's definitely going to take a lot of hurt here. We're seeing 2 hits, 2 more rerolls coming in.
Just gets 3, but that's half points in a average dice. Yep. So that puts Jess now on 3 hull remaining, which does put her at half points. 2 hull remaining, and puts her at half points, which puts Kaspars up by 21 points, 148 to 127. So Paul doesn't really have much of a response here, especially with 3 dice, hit, crit. He needs natties here. Otherwise, Jess is good night.
Just a reminder, that is 3 dice due to the weapon fire, and there's the natties.
Gets the natties. So she takes a crit. Could still do it.
Console fire.
So that will activate now. So she could still explode with the console fire, because she has not engaged yet. So that was a great call there by Kaspars. That pretty much sealed the game here. She lives, but I don't think she's got much left to go. And nice shot here from Rose. She's got a reroll, so, and a focus. Doesn't matter. She spends 2. Still good. She may get the kill. She gets the kill. Well done. So the points swing back to Paul, funnily enough. But I think positioning-wise, Kaspars still has the advantage here. He can probably... Oh, does it? Oh, does it, though? They've got 1 round left. This is the last round here. Kaspars needs to not give up half points and kill Jess. That's the end game here. How do you do that? Guarantee that? I think it's actually a bit of a hard ask. Jess can probably 3 straight and boost out of there, and then you just send Rose in. 1 hard from the Jedi probably still gets a shot, but with Jess's ability and a focus, there's a chance she doesn't die. She's only got 1 health left. Oh, she does have console fire, actually. That could be the clincher. That could do it.
Yeah, there's always that risk of console fire, but you're right. She's definitely. We would like to see that focus here. She's going to have that reroll from Rose, and Rose is likely going to do some work as usual to punch into the Jedi Knights. It'll be tough to sink through half points on that Jedi Knight here, I think, but it is possible. We could see it.
I mean, it's this. I'm sort of running in my head what each player might do. Because, all right, I'll be Paul for a second. I one bank my Jess to the right. I just take I repair my console fire, and then I one bank. So that's time there. It's time in the round on the board as well. So yeah, I one bank my Jess to pilot right. I maybe one bank in my Rose. Fix the console fire on Jess. I focus on Rose, and I block a one hard from Kaspars. But Kaspars has done some really interesting moves here. I mean, his only option here for a turnaround, other than the one hard, to try and catch Jess, is maybe a 4K. But then he is firing unmodded dice into Jess, although he will have the force. You're sort of just fingers crossed and hoping to the dice in that moment as well. So I think, I don't know. That's the scenarios I'm running in my head at the moment.
And something we forgot is that these Jedi move first.
They do. Yeah, I did. I completely forgot.
I was wondering if that 2 sloop would fit, and I looked at it and immediately realized that it might not, because Jess will still be sitting there. But this, it's likely Paul has looked at the points here and just gone for.
Oh my god!
This just bumps both. Yep.
This is going to come down to the console fire. That's what this comes down to. It's literally a 50-50 dice roll chance as to who wins this match, which really does, I actually think. So if they're just going to do the roll here, I'll shut up. We'll watch it. It's a crit. Oh. That's safety. That's a safety. It wasn't 50-50, actually. I think it's like 30...
I think it's like 38.75 or something.
So that is a crazy end to a really swingy game. Jess lives after rolling twice for her console fire. Paul takes it out by 3 points. He wins by 3 points. I'm just going to check. Just going to check with the guys if they want to do a post-game chat. That was a really, really intense game. It felt like it swung both ways multiple times throughout the game. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to pop in to speak with the guys here and get their thoughts on the match, because that was honestly very riveting X-Wing. It was a constantly shifting game. We've already got Kaspars in here with us, and Paul is maybe joining or has run away. Here he is. Hello, guys. Welcome, and thank you for the game. How are we feeling?
Heartbroken.
That was a really rough game. That was constantly swinging both directions. Really exciting as an audience member. How was it for you, Kaspars? I think that's a really tough way to lose just on a single dice roll there at the end.
Well, single dice roll a lot of times, like few greens and a ship or two alive, and like in last turn, like needed to 1 turn, not 2 turn.
Yeah.
And then at least would have hope. It went too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, 50-50, then it's still dice game.
Yeah, and I mean, the point margin there is 3 points. Sort of shows how close it was most of the game as well. Every time there was a turn, we sort of felt like our positioning's really good on Kaspars' side, and Paul needs to do some extra work here. And then you guys would do all your manoeuvres, and we felt like the positioning had swung the other way. And there was definitely a one turn there where Kaspars, your dice just didn't quite turn on, despite good positioning. They just didn't quite get the damage in, and I think you put all your shots into Finn, and Finn just kept evading and took no damage.
Finn's just a tank.
Yeah.
Well, damage, like overall, I'm satisfied with damage. Like I had some low rolls and some high rolls, but most disappointed with the green dice in critical moments.
Yeah. So, Paul, your strategy in that last turn there, knowing that it's pretty much on you to try and get these blocks here. Was that the plan here at the end, just to try and block your ships into the one heart?
I was trying to get the block, but equally just, if I didn't get the block, leave myself with an action with Jess to try and clear that console fire, or take a focus if I was getting shots, because it was just a horrible situation to be in that. Because if I got it right, it still came down to a dice roll.
Yeah. I think, the dice roll favoured you, just in terms of percentage-wise, but it's still rough to just leave it to a single red dice flying in the air. But I think both of you guys played really, really well. At some points, it looked like the game maybe was even close to being over from both of you, and both of you just kept making really great decisions and getting the ships pointed in the right direction. Kaspars, you... a turn that I thought was pretty interesting. We were thinking maybe once you took the lead there after killing Finn, we thought maybe the turn after you sort of pulled the ships away and started getting them out of the fight, your two Jedi. Did you change your mind and decide to turn in, or was that always the plan to just get one turn away and then sort of turn the Jedi back in?
Well, I in that turn I could go 4 or 5k with the green one here, and then one card maybe here, but that would leave in worse position. Just engage and come back with both ships in better position, and I knew it will be very hard to run away, even have maybe time, because he moves after me and just have full boost, and yellow was on one hole left. No, that was
one from half.
One shield left. So pretty sure I would still lose half points there, no matter what. And just needed to do some damage, get half, and not die.
Yeah.
Which, did not turn out so well.
Yeah, and you know what? I think both you guys played really, really well. It's such a close game, and I think it will be one on the replay. I think there was another turn as well. Just before that first engagement, Paul, you used, I think it was the Red Squadron expert to bump up Jess and Rose, which seemed like a really great move at the time. And then when you went to do those 4Ks 2 turns later, that bump with Jess, devastating.
Yeah, no, I totally forgot that was just slightly misaligned, and that stuffed me.
Felt like real life X-wing again.
But even before that, I wasn't happy with my kind of opening engagement. I went too fast on that first turn to try and catch the Y-wing and Ahsoka while the Jedi Knights were kind of coming around here. So then I just kind of decided that I would hard turn in. Whereas if I'd just gone slow, I'd have had a bit more time just to kind of see where his ships were going. Rather than try and then back out of the engagement.
Yeah, that first engagement was a bit rough for you, I think. We could see what you were trying to do as well. You really didn't want to let that Y-wing get off that proton torpedo in that first engagement. So I think the barrel rolls out were really good, but it did leave you in a bit of a funky position to then... We essentially ended up with a joust in the end anyway. But that was a really great game, guys, and I hope you go back and watch it and hear all the exciting commentary that we overlaid.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks for coming on, guys, and well done to both of you, and congratulations. Paul, good victory.
No worries, thank you, and cheers, Kaspars, for a good game. That was fun, and apologies for the interruption. the washing machine repair
Oh, no
guy.
problem. That's not at all problem.
Alrighty, thanks very much, guys.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Right, bye. And thank you to everyone watching
Bye.
as well. We will be back roughly the same time tomorrow, just 1 hour after the stream started today. Tomorrow in 24 hours, we'll have another match. It will be, if I can remember, it is Australia versus... I can't remember anymore. Do you remember who Australia was facing, Jim? Australia versus... I'm going to remember. It is versus Hungary. So Australia versus Hungary is tomorrow, UTC time 0900. So 9 a.m. UTC plus 0. So please tune in then. We will have another very exciting game. It will be myself and fellow slug Tom Harper, who's also on the Australian XTC team, and we will be watching that very exciting game. So thanks for coming again, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, and we'll be back again the next day, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Thank you, Jim, for joining me in the box, and thank you to both players.
Thanks for having me. I guess you'll all hear me again soon.
I hope to hear you again soon. All right. Goodbye, everyone. And
Bye.
love you all. Bye.